So I'd like to talk about the derivation of the money multiplier, and that's going to be an important parameter in the macroeconomy, and it's going to tell us about the effectiveness of monetary policy, and so it's really important to know. It's important to know generally what the money multiplier is, and understand that money is created by the banking system and is influenced by the policy decisions of the Federal Reserve. So conventionally, we define the money supply, M1, broad money, as being equal to currency plus deposits. Currency is the currency in circulation, not the currency that the Federal Reserve or the Treasury have in their vaults. That's not in circulation. So money, sort of before it enters into the hands of the public, is not part of the money supply. So you have currency plus deposits. And it's an important point that the money that the Treasury and the Fed have is not part of the money supply. The Treasury and the Fed, in a sense, can have as many pieces of paper as they would like, but they're not circulating, so they're not part of the money supply. So we have the money supply as currency plus deposits. Then we have something that economists call high-powered money, or the monetary base, which is currency plus reserves. These are reserves that banks, all banks are members of the Federal Reserve System in the United States. The reserves are the reserves that they hold at the Federal Reserve banks. So every bank might hold an account at a Federal Reserve Bank, and the value of their asset that they hold at the Federal Reserve, which is their reserves, is what we're measuring here by R. So we can think about the ratio of money supply to the monetary base is equal to C plus D over C plus R. And we might divide both top and bottom by D. So we divide the top by 1 over D, and we divide the bottom by 1 over D, right? Doing so means that the ratio MS over B is still the same. So we're going to get C over D plus 1 over C over D plus R over D. And CD is the currency deposit ratio, and Mankey calls that CR. And RD is the reserve deposit ratio. So we have CR, the currency deposit ratio, plus currency deposit ratio plus RR, reserve deposit ratio. And this number is little m, is the money multiplier, and we can rewrite the equation MS equals M times B. So the money supply is a multiple of the monetary base. And remember that RR, the reserve ratio, is a number less than 1. So reserves are going to be a fraction of the value of deposits, and so the denominator is smaller than the numerator. They both have CR in the numerator and denominator. The numerator has 1, the denominator has a number less than 1, so the numerator overall is bigger than the denominator. So that's our basic determination of the money multiplier, and tells us that when the Fed changes the monetary base, so the Fed has direct ability to change the amount of reserves that banks are holding, say through the reserve requirement. It also indirectly affects the reserves that banks are holding by changing the interest rate that it offers on those reserves, by conducting open market operations, which at the first step involve the Fed exchanging reserves for bonds, because in the first instance the Fed is buying the bonds from banks or from individuals who have bank accounts, and so the banks' reserves are changing. Banks, of course, are always free to then withdraw those reserves and lend them out, but in the first instance the reserves are affected through open market operations. And then the Fed also has the ability to change the discount rate, the rate at which it lends to banks that are in need of reserves. The Fed can provide them with a loan that counts as reserves, and the interest rate on those loans, it's called the discount rate, is going to be a key policy tool in normal times. So that's the basic introduction to the money multiplier.